the extremes when you talk about the 49ers offense. It's always either this player is the worst or this player is the best. There's never any in between. There's never any context when we talk about players either. So today we're going to talk about how Trey Lance affected the running game, how different the running game looks with him under center, and how he looked as a quarterback. But I also want to talk about, some of the other players. For example, in this play, Mike McGlinchey. Everybody saw the sack that he gave up and he ran off the field. And we're going to talk about that as well. But here's the second play of the game. Mike McGlinchey, right tackle, right here, locked on to Roquan Smith. Nobody talks about these type of plays. Drives him outside the numbers, into the sideline. This is a highlight play. Anybody else would be talking about this. I haven't seen any sort of clips, any positive plays, any positive talk about McGlinchey. It's never as bad as the one play that you remember. There's always something in between. So I want to just try to bring some balance to the discourse that's known as the 49ers offense. Deebo Samuel in motion. Then he's going to bring him back in motion the other way with a jet sweep. At the same time, he's going to bring tight end Charlie Warner across the formation while he play fakes run action. What does that do? That's going to hold all of the second level defenders. So there's so much eye candy going on here that they don't know where the ball is. When the concept is Brandon Ayuk's going to run crossing through Bender, whatever you want to call it, and Juwan Jennings is going to do the same thing. So it's max protection underneath with a two-man route. Watch what it does to the Bears defense. Let's watch what the linebackers do first. So there goes Deebo with the motion. They're running. They have already false stepped with the motion, so they're out of position. They think that they need to get back to the running back, so they're out of position. All right, now back to the one guy who can really make this play is the safety, and he's a rookie. He's probably never seen all these different kind of pre-snap motions at the college level. So he sees Charlie Warner come across formation, comes up, and instantly right here, he's beat. Great concept, great execution, great design by Shanahan. And there's your first explosive of the game. All right, so the running game was an issue last year. And if it wasn't for Deebo Samuel, their numbers would look a lot worse than they actually were. So this play, the reason that the 49ers are going to have a lot more success in the running game this year is just because they're going to have more space on the outside because of the speed and the ability to push the ball outside the numbers and down the field. Also, having an extra ball carrier in the box. So they're going to be +1 more often than not because Trey Lance can carry the ball. This play, I think Shanahan's going to use him down in the red zone or in high leverage situations like we saw. I'm not necessarily a QB sneak, but let's say 3rd and 2, whatever it may be. Here we go. In the red zone, this play is one of my favorite plays. I love counter, but it's counter bash. So counter just means your backside guard and tackle are going to pull. So he's going to come across the formation. He's going to come across the formation. All these guys are blocking down to the next lineman. And the bash means the back is going away from the action. So the action, pull. The back is going lateral on a lateral track away from the action. What Trey Lance is doing is he is reading number 94. If 94 stays here, he's going to pull it and run up the middle and follow his lead blockers. If 94 dives in, he is going to give the ball. And by dive in, I mean he has the quarterback. So let's see what 94 does. Dives in, easy read for Trey Lance. Unfortunately, it's a fumble, but how many more times is that going to happen? The bad breaks that happened in this game for the 49ers are almost uncountable. But the action is really good. You can see how it messes with the defense. These linebackers right here, they're not reading the back. They're reading the lineman in front of them. So they get pull, and they step down, obviously. And by stepping down, it makes life easier for the tight end to come block him. So very tough play to stop, but good process, bad result. All right, this is a miss from Trey Lance, and you have to, again, take into context what's going on here. But he does have to hit this throw. So couldn't have asked for a better play call at the time. Kyle Shanahan calls leak. I imagine everybody knows what that is by now. So the tight end is going to leak out of the backfield after fake blocking. He's going to run underneath the linebackers and then up the sideline. Deebo Samuel, he's going to run across. Brandon Ayuk's going to run his man off. What you're hoping is you're in man coverage. That way, so he's free, but there's routes coming his way, so you're going to occupy him and not really worried about the second level defenders. Essentially, it's one man that you have to worry about, and if he doesn't recognize what's going on, it should be a walk-in touchdown. Here's how the play turns out. So, again, they get man. They get exactly what they want. Trey Lance said after the game that he tried to throw a perfect ball instead of putting it right on him. I wonder how much that hit right there at the end had to do with it. Either way, there's no excuse. You want him to make this pass. I'm not going to say the field was in perfect conditions, but at this point, this should be a touchdown. For an NFL quarterback, for a number 3 overall quarterback for sure, you're going to want Trey Lance to hit this throw. He does get hit at the end there, but that's a miss. This is the McGlinchey sack. This is the one where he runs off the field and everybody blew up on him. It is not a good look for number 69 on this play. Let's talk about the concept. And before we get there, I mean, it's funny how people kind of pick and choose what stats they want to use. This year, it's PFF grades. And the only reason this week, I should say, it was PFF grades is because they have the offensive line performing well and Trey Lance not performing well. However, when you are looking at this, these PFF grades, you have to know that they're not accounting for the situation. So did the 49ers offensive line perform well? Sure. But how many of those dropbacks were quick game? How many of those dropbacks were screens? And how many of those were true, actual 3, 5, 7-step dropbacks? When Trey Lance had to drop back on 16 dropbacks, he was pressured 4 times. So 25% of his dropbacks, his true dropbacks, he was pressured. That is in no way a good sign for the offensive line. Here's one. And again, this is the sack where Mike McGlinchey oversets. All right, here's what we have. We have, I don't know if you guys remember, Brandon Marshall and Pac-Man Jones, they were at training camp. So they asked Kyle Shanahan, what is his favorite play? And he said, looky Jaguar, I believe. And this is essentially what it looks like. So we have stick to the top. That means this receiver is Deebo Samuel out here. He's not pictured. He's not really a factor. He's going to run the coverage off. Rory McLeod, he's going to run the stick nod. So he's going to run up, out, and then come back up. And then here's the tight end. He's going to run up and a quick out. To the bottom, Kyle Juszczyk, this helmet right here, he's just going to run off. He's not really a part of the play. The looky is the backside slant. So you have Brandon Ayuk against their number 3 corner, and he just needs to win inside. So let's walk through the play, and probably where you want to go in this situation, but just based on the formation. But as you can see, doesn't get a clean win, and Trey Lance sees that. Probably not going to be able to fit the ball in there with the way that they're positioned. So he does a good job of coming off his read. As soon as he does that, Mike McGlinchey is already beat. So his pads are parallel to the sideline. That is a big no-no and a big tell that the offensive line is beat. So if you're seeing that he didn't give up any pressures or whatever it may be, this play is a prime example. All right. And there's a sack. Not much he could do there. Huge, because they don't get any points out of this drive. So when you get into field position, in this kind of field position, in plus territory, especially for the 49ers this season, you have to have points. This is not on Lance. This is on a guy who it's empty. So he has to know, Mike McGlinchey, especially he's been around for a few years now, he's not going to have any help. The one thing he can't do is overset. He just has to protect his inside. He doesn't do that. And sack. And then as the quarterback gets thrown to the ground, this is what drove people nuts. Quarterback just got thrown to the ground. You don't see either tackle come up and push him away, mess with these guys. Nope, they just walk off. That is not a great look at all. Nobody helps the quarterback up. I'm sure that they were yelled at pretty good for that in the film room. All right, this is a 3rd down, I believe, and so they have a concept designed to get the ball to Juwan Jennings here. So what's going to happen is, here, let's just run through it real quick. So as you can see, top of the screen, Brandon Ayuk is going to run his man off, and it's a follow concept. So by doing that, he's going to run the coverage off, and by being in a stacked alignment, you're going to have these guys bunched up together, knowing you're probably going to have man. You might get a pick. You might get some type of rub route. All right, here we go. So as I said, Ayuk runs off. Jennings does a good job of faking like he's coming out, and then comes in, and as you can see, the ball is behind him. So this, to me, was the worst rep for Trey Lance of the day. Why? You'll see from the end zone angle, his feet are not on the ground. And that is just a habit that you do not want to have from your starting quarterback. So you can see here, Peyton Manning on Monday Night Football said, quarterbacks have to feel the rush, not see the rush. You can't drop your eyes. So when there are bodies coming around here, he's going to need to do a better job moving forward of just feeling where those bodies are and be able to navigate the pocket, as opposed to, overreacting to the opposite color flashing. And that's what he does here. And that's why he kind of panics. You can see here, goes through his reads. So right here, he just needs to get set. Doesn't have to be this dramatic climb of the pocket. And then from there, his feet are in the ground. As you can see, none of his feet are on the ground right here. There's no way he'd be able to have just control where the ball is going. That means the pass is all arm and just gets nowhere near the target. So if you just want to see that again here, I think the pocket from this angle kind of tells the whole story of the play. So let's watch it here. Not a terrible job by the line here. I think Aaron Banks does a good job of riding his man, taking him where he wants to go. If he wants to loop around there, sure. Slight pressure, but that's on the quarterback. A bad habit of leaving his feet right there, and that's something to keep an eye on moving forward. Make sure that does not happen. One thing that was consistent with Kyle Shanahan in training camp was whenever Trey Lance, had an error, did something that might have flustered him or made him uncomfortable, he came right back to a run, and specifically a run for Lance, and that's exactly what happens here. So we just saw the last play. This is the very next play. And they come out in a split back formation, and it's Deebo Samuel, and then we have the running back right here. They're going to run that same counter play that we just talked about. So we're going to have the backside lineman pulling, and now he's going to be reading Deebo. So Deebo's going to be the one, or sorry, not reading Deebo. Deebo's going to be the one to, quote unquote, get the ball on the quote unquote counter. And if not, so there's the one action. If this guy dives, as we just saw, you're going to keep it. So there's one option. The other option, now we have the wide receiver to the top of the screen as you see Ayuk coming down to crack. He's looking for somebody to block. He has nobody to block, so he goes back to the safety. Now we have an option right here. So Lance, and I think that's still Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, that's Mitchell. Gets to the outside. That play is just dirty. That should be illegal. It's a nice wrinkle. And I mean, it kind of tells you the different tools in the box that Shanahan has and the type of creativity that we can see in this running game this season. So there's a counter. Everybody washes down. Everybody reacts to the pulling lineman, and why wouldn't you with Deebo? But now you have to play the pull. Good pitch relationship right there. All that's going to do is open up these counter plays moving forward and just create more space in the running game. Great play, great design. Love the execution there. All right, let's go to explosive number 2 and a throw that probably didn't get as much recognition as it should have. These are the throws you see people like Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. These are the throws they make, and you see those clips circulating all over social media. So, all right, here we go. It looks like a burner concept, and all that is this wide receiver is going to run off and to the pylon, and this wide receiver is going to get about, I believe, 18 to 22 on the hash and just come across the field. And the reason I'm a little confused on this, and I don't know if this really matters, there's just more action, more window dressing. So what they're going to do here, as you can see, to the top of the screen, might have got away. Watch Deebo right here. Might have got away with a little bit of a false start. He moves right there early. No call. Let him ride. Let him play. All right. So you get the fake reverse there. And again, all this window dressing. So you have play action. You're going to fake this mid zone, outside zone. You're faking here. So the linebackers see running back going this way. You have a tight end coming across the formation. You have Deebo faking the reverse. All that's doing is holding the underneath. That way he doesn't get rerouted, and he should have all kind of space. So the Bears actually do a good job of trying to get back to it, but phew, as you can see right there, that is a dime. That is a throw that we do not see. That was Jimmy Garoppolo 2019 Cardinals Emmanuel Sanders type of throw. So this end zone view is much better. Good. So play action. That's another thing when we're talking about how the offensive line performed on the true dropbacks. If you eliminate even the play action passes, they got smoked. So again, context matters when talking about the sport. Max protect, where that window is, there's not much of a window, as you can see. We got great athlete right here, Roquan Smith. gives everything he can. Ball is just over his head. Eddie Jackson, if you remember him, he made a great play earlier. He's not able to get there and in front of this guy right here. So a picture-perfect pass. There's a narrative that's being pushed that Trey Lance is not going to be able to hold up when the 49ers are using him on design runs. Here's a good example, I feel like, and why that narrative is false and just doesn't make much sense in my mind anyway. So again, great formation here. Unbalanced. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys to the right of the center, and then left guard, left tackle. So they're going to motion Elijah Mitchell out only to run QB power. And power is this guard's going to pull. Everybody on this side is going to block down, down, down. QB power. It's a 6-yard gain. Nobody's getting a square shot on Lance. If you don't get a square shot, you don't have to worry about injuries. He does a good job of protecting himself. I think he did a good job of protecting himself all game. So now they're in a 3rd and 3 situation because of an easy run. You have an unblocked man, you have an extra man because the quarterback is the ball carrier. And then, they go on to score with Deebo Samuel on a sweep. So I don't buy that at all, that you have to worry about Trey Lance getting hurt as a rusher. All right, one difference that we saw in week 1 as opposed to when Jimmy G was under center, isolation routes outside of the number. So on this play, Brandon Ayuk doesn't have to push off. He gets called for an OPI, but what I want to focus on is just the route, the ability to throw the ball outside the numbers. And again, now that you can do this, there will be more space for all those clear out routes. So let's watch a play. It's tough to tell if this is a 3 or 5 step drop from Trey Lance, just because if you watch his footwork right here, it's like it's always been kind of wonky. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what I want to show you here is when the ball's coming out. Let's focus on that. He's loaded up, so he's not out of his break yet. His head is not around. Ball's coming out. That is great. That is what you want to see. Don't worry about his completion percentage. Don't worry about anything. We need to talk about, make sure that he's progressing, but the fundamental part of playing quarterback matters way more, especially in week 1. So ball's coming out on time. It's accurate. First down. Would be first down on 3rd down. So that is the big takeaway here. And when I say accurate, and I know you see him have to turn around here, look at the water. Look at his feet. Ayuk. There's splash, splash, splash. It's a heavy ball. It's not going to be a perfect pass, especially in these conditions. But I think the ability to call this play for Shannon is going to open so much up for this offense. I don't know if Ayuk's used to pushing off. He doesn't have to do that. He's already creating separation. Like right there, he already won. So I'm sure, I imagine we won't see that too much more at all. But OPI, yes, so it doesn't count, but the structure of the play matters. And I think we'll see a lot more of these isolation routes moving forward. And of course, we can see it from the end zone view. Trey Lance's footwork here. Timing is good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I don't know if that's 4 or 5. Maybe just has a false step in there. Either way, next play. This was probably one of my favorite play calls of the day. And as you can see, I've already gushed about Shanahan's play calling. So 3rd and 13 after the OPI. What do? Quarterback draw. No square shot. He just made a guy miss. We're talking about him potentially getting injured, and he just made a 2nd-round safety miss in the open field on a muddy track too. That is way more important in my eyes than, like, if DBs can't get a square shot at him in the open field, don't worry about him getting hurt. Yeah, that's a good play. We have a mirrored concept on this play, so we have the outside receivers, both Deebo right here and Brandon Ayuk, running about 10 to 12 and in. So they're running dig routes. And then we have the tight end running a quick out, and then Juwan Jennings running a quick out. They're trying to pull these guys, these hang defenders out, widening a window for either receiver to go here. This is where, going back to what Peyton Manning said, you have to feel the rush. You can't see the rush. So what happens is, and we'll show it from the end zone angle, Jake Brindle, center who has not started in, I believe, 3 years, gets beat, and opposite color flashes, and Trey overreacts. This is going to be something that has to change moving forward. And you see right there, because that opposite color flashes, right, here, so the ball should be out. In my opinion, he can make this throw. The window is big enough to fit the ball in between these two. Neither of these two defenders would make that play. He's seeing it. Just pull the trigger. But for whatever reason, there's enough hesitation because I think your center is on the freaking ground again. I'm showing these true drop back passes where there's tangible, actual pressure in his face. Here we go. And then he has to scramble around. Should have thrown the ball away so they don't lose a yard there. But again, opposite color, opposite color flashes, he overreacts. Just pull the trigger. You saw it. You made the right read. Trust what you saw. He held, even right there is a really good job, in my opinion, of holding this linebacker. Watch Trey's helmet. He's looking left, looking left, looking left. He knows he wants to go right the whole time. And maybe he felt like he couldn't right here just based on that angle, but you saw from the all-22 angle that there was enough there. And I hate, armchair quarterbacking just because it's easy to do this after the fact. But I have high expectations for Trey Lance. Higher expectations than the previous quarterback. Why? Because he was drafted higher and because of the investments that the team put in him. And it's so clear that he's going to be a good player. And when he does, these are the plays that he will make. That number 90 right there over the center should not affect this play, in my opinion. All right, so we have ourselves a tendency breaker. And this is going to be a smash concept. So Ray McLeod underneath is going to run 5 and in. It wasn't 5 yards, 5 and in. Juwan Jennings is going to run the slot fade. He doesn't seem like a big deal in this route, but this inside release is going to occupy the safety. So it's trip set, and he's over number 1, he's over number 2. The linebacker and the safety are more than likely reading 2 and 3. So he has his eyes on 3 because look how they're aligned here. Shanahan does a really good job of making sure every defender is occupied here. So let's run the play here. They're going to throw the slot fade. This is explosive play number 3, I believe. Let's check it out. So there's Croft, I want to say. Oh, no, that's Dwelly. So that inside release was all it took to hold the safety. Now he's out of the play. So essentially, this becomes a one-on-one route for Juwan Jennings, and he has the entire half of the field to play with. So you know you're going to get man, so he's out of the picture. Good read, ball's out on time. I don't think he expected Juwan Jennings to run deep, and that's why I call it a tendency breaker. Because think about it, how many routes do you remember Juwan Jennings running deep? So let's watch how Trey Lance reads it. 1, 2, 3, ball's out on time, just right in the breadbasket. And I think when he said throw it too perfectly to on the leak play earlier to Tyler Croft, I think that's what he was talking about. So just 1, 2, 3, step and throw, let it fly. Ball's out, ball's on time, lets Jennings run underneath it. The reason that this play works is because the safety, and they were picking on, Shanahan was picking on the rookies all day. So Kyler Gordon, who's probably going to be a good player. Again, I don't think he expected Jennings to run deep. You see, yep, really nice inside fake there. He fakes like he's stemming inside. Just a little head fake. Gordon has no idea where he is, got to his blind spot, and good night. Probably the most frustrating thing for Shanahan, I imagine, and the offense in general, is getting on the Bears territory so many times. It felt like they lived in the Bears territory and only coming away with 10 points. So on this drive, that was after the Juwan Jennings explosive play. They don't get a touchdown. Why? So back-to-back plays, they have players miss blocks. This is just weak zone. So again, we're going to see a lot of unbalanced formations, judging by how this first game went. So 1, 2, 3, 4 players to the left, 1, 2 to the right. Just going to run weak zone because you have numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the running back. Jeff Wilson is very good at this, by the way. Just getting north and south. I think he has the best vision of any running back, and that's, including Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, that I've seen under Kyle Shanahan. I know that seems like high praise, but he's pretty good at that. Gets upfield, doesn't get in the end zone. Why doesn't he get in the end zone? Watch the second round pick from last year, Aaron Banks. He climbs to the second level. He's got to break down way sooner. Let's watch 65 here, the left guard. Right now he has to break down. Like right now, there's no reason to really, I don't want to say overrun it, but that's kind of what he does. So just kind of Olay blocks him. And as you can see, tackle. Can't have that. And then the very next play, we have another whiff. So you can see it from this angle. Let's watch it. Look how close they are. Maddening that this wasn't a touchdown. So, you see Juwan Jennings right there? That should be a touchdown if you block your man. Just do your job, right? Watch this guy right here. Fake like they're running right, come back left. Ideally, Jeff Wilson's one-on-one with the cornerback. Not ideal for Jeff Wilson to have to take on two guys, one in the backfield specifically. So, just not giving themselves much of a chance down here with these whiffs. And that there's no doubt that's a tough angle based on the alignment, but as you saw from the all-22 angle, Juwan Jennings just has to come flat right away. He can't gain any ground and just try to cut him off. Doesn't, and Brisker makes a play. And they get a field goal after that explosive play, which that would drive me insane. All right, so next play, third down. You have a double out route. So Dwelly's going to run out. Jennings is going to run out, and I think Jennings is open here. I would imagine if Trey Lance was reading Jennings from the jump, like off the snap, I don't know if he thinks that because he's outside alignment, and to me this makes sense. So if I'm looking at the hang defender and he has outside alignment, that tells me it's zone. What does that mean? He's probably going to buzz to this flat area right here. So this out route is not going to be open. That's not what they do. So here's how the play eventually shakes out. Brisker has Dwelly. I think he comes off Dwelly too fast, because where else would he be looking? And this is essentially a triangle read. The play is probably designed to go to Kyle Juszczyk, who's running a little Texas route here. He's going to run up and in. And the linebacker, Roquan Smith, does a really good job of just not falling for an outside fake and stays inside of Juice. But let's see where Trey's looking right here. It looks like he's looking left. Before he gets the opportunity to get either here or here, he comes off the read, which tells me, again, he's only looking at Juice. And you see right now, he goes back to the now slant, which if he would have gone there first, sure, it would have been open, but that's not where the read was, and I definitely don't fault him for not throwing this ball late over the middle. As you can see, it probably would have been bad news there. So it turns into a sack, and this is not on the offensive line. This is more of a covered sack just because the ball wasn't able to get rid of the ball, but tough to swallow this one, man. There's no doubt about that because I just showed 3 plays in a row, 3 consecutive plays where missed block, O-line gives Lance time to make a throw, and unfortunately, he doesn't like what he saw and gets a sack. So just poor execution near the goal line here for the 49ers. All right, third down. This is a true drop back scenario, and guess what happens? You guessed it. One of the offensive linemen got beat. So not much you could do about this one if you're Lance or the offense, or, the wide receiver. So let's check it out. And there's no point in even going through the play call just because watch the center. You have 1, 2, 3 guys over here. Brindle he has protection right there. That can't happen. This looks like a guy who hasn't played in a few seasons. So again, he's helping. He is the helper. There's no reason to overplay this. Protect your inside, knowing that he has a two-way go. So if he wants to go that way, great. Instead, overprotects. 91 gets inside of him, and the play's dead from there. So it's third down. Look at the marker. Third down. Lance does a good job of making the most out of this. I would not fault him I wouldn't call that overreacting by any means there. That, to me, it's just a third down wasted because the line couldn't hold up for him. That's not going to get talked about, is it, when we're talking about the offensive line, where we're gassing up the PFF grades. This is what it looks like in true dropback situations. More often than not, when they're not in max protection with extra blockers in there, Lance had to run for his life. All right, this is third and long, and then they're just going to run spacing to the sticks. So essentially, everybody's going to run a curl route at the numbers. As you can see, get a yard past the numbers, a yard past the sticks, and everybody across the board. You can't see him down low, but Deebo Samuel's across the board there. So this is as good as it gets. I've been talking about on a couple of Trey Lance's dropbacks. You don't want to see him overreact to the rush. Yes, there's going to be opposite color flashing. That's going to happen. That's a part of playing quarterback in the National Football League. You, like Peyton Manning said, feel the rush. Don't see the rush. All right, so I think this is the best rep. And again, as the game progresses, you don't want to see him make the same mistakes. And this is a prime example of him learning from the previous issues. So here we go. The Bears run a little game up front here. So, I mean, this is an exotic look. I think he comes. Let's see. Yeah, the nickelback blitzes. The linebackers drop out. So this is a hell of a simulated pressure right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 with 3 of the guys dropping out. Nice sim pressure. Both linebackers mugged up. Nickelback blitzes. Weak side defender drops out. Trey Lance does not panic. More often than not in this situation, the strong hook defender is going to tell you where to go with the ball. And in this case, it is 53, the linebacker right here. Where he goes will tell Trey Lance where to go with the football. 53 runs out wide. That more than likely tells you he'll be open. So there's not much of a window here at all. Does not matter. That's a seat. That's a great pass. First down, was able to move the chains. Climbs the pocket. I mean, I can see people saying, why not go there? You can see him lurking over here, almost baiting him to go there. I think he makes the right read. The throw's right in front of him, too, so he can have more velocity and obviously be more accurate with the throw. Fits it in between 2 people. First down, they're able to move the chains. This, to me, is very promising for Trey Lance. This is what you want to see. Again, not making the same mistakes, learning, not overreacting to the rush, fitting the ball into a tight window, and moving the chains on third downs. Very nice play. In the NFL, it's okay to give credit to other players. This is Trey Lance's interception. This is the exact same play earlier in the breakdown where they run the follow concept. This receiver is going to run off, and Juwan Jennings is going to run out, act like he's going out, and then just come up, underneath the wide receiver. It's wide open, in Trey Lance's mind anyway. So I get why he throws this. And again, just like we talked about before in a previous play, this inside release from the tight end is going to occupy the safety. Smart player, Nick Saban player, he learned from his mistake before, and he's probably not going to get burned by it again. I think this is honestly a phenomenal play by the safety Eddie Jackson here. So he baits the heck out of Trey Lance. So he's inside. Look, he's inside of the hash right here. How can you blame any quarterback, whether it's a 22-year-old or a 32-year-old, for throwing this pass right here thinking, all right, I got the rub. I got exactly what I wanted. I'm going to throw this ball. Eddie Jackson makes a diving play for an interception. That's a hell of a play. There's no doubt about it. I don't know what to say about Lance. Like, what do you tell him to do differently? You don't want him to read the safety right there because the safety did exactly what he thought would happen, right? So let's look at it from this angle, from the end zone angle. All right, and as you can see, Eddie Jackson's not in the picture right now. So why wouldn't you throw that? Look where the ball is, too. It's low and away from the defender. That is exactly what you want. Unfortunately, former Pro Bowler Eddie Jackson just makes a great play. I think that's okay. He'll learn from that. And he'll learn from a lot of the mistakes that he made in this game. I don't think he played poorly by any means. I think it's promising what they're able to do in the running game with Trey Lance. Once we got to the fourth quarter, like right now, the torrential downpour came. You can see it on the camera. It was bad. It wasn't even playable. When people say this is football weather, no shot at all. But I think Lance will be fine. I think he'll be better than fine, actually. I mean, just as you can see right now, they are moving the ball in chunks. They were moving the ball in chunks. And judging by how the Seahawks defense looked against the Broncos week 1 on Monday Night Football, I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. So, I don't want to put a grade on his first performance. I think he was a lot better than people realize, as you can see from a lot of plays. There's plenty of positives to take away. There's going to be hiccups. That was always going to be the case when you have a player who hasn't played a lot of football. So we're just going to keep assessing him as we go along. But I would say the early returns were far more positive, And we're not able to talk about it in that light because the team lost and because of how the team lost. So context matters here, and I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Please like it, share it. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. If you disagree with something, even let me know. I'm fine with that, man. It's football. We shouldn't be agreeing with everything. So I'll be back next week to talk about more of the 49ers offense and, of course, the defense.